All right. Hello, welcome to League Bound. I'm your co-host Branden Blue, and I'm here with my guys Jake and Cameron. And today is a fun day because we just got done watching Cameron Boozer on Duke play against Kansas. This was supposed to be a much more exciting matchup, obviously with Darren Peterson, but he's been having hamstring issues. But still a solid outing from Cameron Boozer and a few other prospects on Duke as well. Cameron Boozer had 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. He shot 7 for 17 from the field, but overall, I still think there was a lot to like. We'll kind of get into some of the questions around him and some of the positives as well. But what were some of the things that you guys took away from this performance?
What stood out to me is his passing. He passed like really, really well, especially out of the short roll. He was able to find like the cutter really well. He dealt with the double teams fairly well, like passing out of him. There was one where like I still don't know how he got this pass off. They were like, I don't know if you guys like played like little league basketball. There used to be like a rule like called towering, where like two taller players couldn't like hover over like a smaller guy. They like Kansas, the two Kansas players did that to Boozer, and like there was like no way out, and he just kind of pivoted, turned, and fired it to the opposite corner. And to me, like that was the strongest part of his game tonight, was his passing.
Yeah, the passing looked really strong. I mean, he was bigger than almost everyone on the court unless Flory Badunga was on him. So I feel like he utilized that to his benefit really well. And you could tell Kansas knew that he was a threat from the get go. I mean, every time they tried to get it to him in the post, it was an instant double team, and it wasn't like a soft double where they try to just push him out to the perimeter. It was full on committing to a double team where he didn't even have space to dribble a lot of times when he was inside the 3 point line. So kind of a weird game to scout for Cam Boozer because we didn't get to see a lot of his offensive skill set in terms of his playmaking with the basketball. It was a lot of passing, catch and shoot from the three or working from inside 8 feet at the rim. And I do think today it was a weird game because you could see some of the plays that the camp for Cam Boozer where they're wondering about his finishing inside and the ability to translate at the next level. There were definitely some lowlights that are going to, help out that aspect of their point on him. But there was also some good points, like you said, Cam, where his passing looked really impressive and he could be a double double every night, flirting with a triple double with some better shooters around him.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys kind of hit it on the head already. I mean, teams have been very physical with him, and we kind of saw this in the Texas game as well, like especially in that first half. And I think there is a little bit of a, I guess, adjustment period for him just because I think when you're playing in high school, it's pretty easy to, like with the physical tools he has, it's pretty easy for him to be kind of the bruiser and get downhill and kind of get to his spots. But in terms of that department, I think he's still kind of trying to figure things out. And even when he does get to where he wants to, or like when he does get deep into the paint, it's still, he, he still just hasn't figured out his touch a little bit yet. But I think he just has a lot of the other things to still be effective. Like we talked about the passing, the rebounding, and I think he's also just a good like leader on the floor for them. He plays with energy. Um, yeah, Boozer's a guy who I can anticipate right now. Like draft Twitter, I'm sure is probably like they're probably trying to use this opportunity to say, he doesn't really deserve to be where he is, or like I know we kind of talked about it in the chat and like some of the stuff with his translation, which some of those points I do think are a little bit valid, but at the same time, he is so good at so many things that I think. And the other thing too with college, and again, this is also one game, so things can look different, but I think also too when he's playing in a faster environment where there's more pace and he's going to have the opportunity to maybe make more decisions, I think that will only make him more valuable in the NBA.
Yeah, I think the finishing is it's not like something that I'm like it's not like red alert, like red flag level concern, but I am it's something I'm monitoring. Like it's it hasn't looked the best so far, especially against like guys who have like a little bit of size and a little bit of length to them. But Dunga got him a few times tonight, blocking the shots, dunking on him on the other end. It just seems like he's missing a little bit of like pop off the floor to me, which is like we've seen guys be successful as like below the rim finishers. Like a guy like a Vucevic kind of comes to mind there. Like you just have to be a little more craftier in ways. So like I'm not saying that it's like a something that'll like prevent him from being a good player, but it'll make life harder, especially if he comes in like below what we think he is height wise. Like if he turns out to be like 6'7" without shoes or 6'8" without shoes, I think that mixed with being an under the rim finisher might like it'll just make life a little bit harder. I still think I would say something that I took away from like the first two games where we've seen him play like really good competition is that I think at the next level, in order to be the most effective, I think he needs to be the four. I think coming into this year, I was like kind of holding on to like a little bit of hope of him maybe being like a small ball five, and he might be able to do that in spurts at the next level. However, I just don't know if he's athletic enough defensively to deal with like lob threats being that small ball five. And offensively, I don't know if he has the vertical pop off the floor mixed with the touch to like be effective down low. Like I think he needs to kind of he has a perimeter game. I just think he might have to rely on that a little bit more when he gets to the league.
This was kind of a interesting game to look at for Cam because Kansas now between Duke and North Carolina is a common opponent. And when you're comparing Cam Boozer's finishing and aggressiveness inside to Caleb Wilson for North Carolina, Wilson seemed to have no problem going up against Flory Badunga and the rest of these big, strong centers and power forwards that Kansas has on the roster. He was very efficient getting to the rim, had quite a few dunks through some traffic. Whereas tonight, it seemed like Cam Boozer, it bothered him a little bit. I know he was fighting through some double teams a lot. I think he had an offensive rebound and a second chance point where he finished through like a triple team inside in the second half. That was a really impressive play. But we see some of the strengths of Caleb Wilson with his finishing inside against this Kansas team, and we just didn't see that same level of effectiveness from Cam Boozer, who is a little bit taller than Caleb Wilson too. So that is a concern. But I think defensively, this was something we have to start to examine as well with Cam Boozer. He didn't have any steals, didn't have any blocks tonight in this game. He's a capable defender. He can move his feet. He's obviously, a decently moving big. But you'd like to see from your 6'10", 6'11" center make a little bit more of an impact on the defensive end.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say defensively is, like, I'm not that worried, but I think the main question that I have about him is, like, just how, and it's not that big of a concern, but, like, how quick he can be laterally, like, when he kind of gets switched on to smaller guards. And I feel like that's something we've seen a little bit of, but not a whole lot of. And I think it also, like, I guess that lateral kind of explosiveness, it also kind of applies to the offensive side too a little bit, because I think one of the intriguing things about Boozer is he's somebody who can also kind of handle the ball a little bit too. And I really just want to see what that looks like here at the college level. I feel like we haven't, I'd have to go back and watch, but like just off the top of my head, and I haven't watched a lot of his games against like Navy and some of the other, nobodies. I didn't mean that like that, but you know what I'm saying. But I kind of want to see what those opportunities are like when he's not necessarily a roll man or not necessarily like back to the basket. I just kind of want to see what more of that explosiveness and quickness looks like when he has some momentum, because I feel like we haven't really, also in fairness to him, I feel like we haven't really seen him, when he has the ability to really gain speed and utilize his strength a whole lot, if that makes sense. Like, even in some of the roll opportunities as well, like today it felt like when he was trying to roll, he wasn't really allowed to do it because Badunga was just sagging so far off that even if the ball handler did throw it to him, it's like he wasn't really going to have, unless he took a floater, he wasn't really going to have the chance to really do anything. So I guess my point I'm trying to say is I just want to see what that athleticism looks like over time. Like, I'm not expecting it to be anything insane, but I do think we also haven't really seen it to its full capabilities, if that makes sense.
Kind
Yeah,
of
I would,
piggybacking off that, I feel like what you said, where we haven't got to see his athleticism and speed combined together too much this year. They need to do a better job of getting him involved in transition. We saw tonight against Kansas. They can move in transition. Isaiah Evans got a couple of quick threes up in those type of transition sets, but he's so big and such a great runner. I don't know why they're not able to get him more involved, whether it's lobs in transition or just a two-man game, maybe on a 2-on-1. Just get him more involved, because when you see Cam Boozer running down the lane at 6'11", 240, 250, whatever he is, there's not a lot of players that are going to be able to stop him when he has that head of steam going.
yeah, I would definitely like to see him get some more attempts, like with a little bit more momentum behind him. Um, I just think you're asking a lot of somebody who's like not really like I think if you watch like Zion in the NBA, he's like one of the examples of like an elite short space like athlete. Like he kind of like could be 2 feet away from the basket and just explode up like with crazy vertical pop. Boozer's not that type of athlete. Like he's kind of different with his mix of like strength and size. So like I would like to see him maybe get a little bit downhill more. So I think once you are able to build up that type of momentum, I think it is harder to like stay with him. And I don't think a lot of guys will be able to take a bump with him, like moving with speed. Something else, if they're going to continue using him as like a post up and they're not going to give him those opportunities, I would like to see like him not get all the way there every time. Like I feel like it was a lot of times tonight he would literally try to go all the way to the rim, like within inches of the rim. Like I would like to see some more like floaters or like that hook his dad used to have. I know I sound like an old man asking for a hook, but like just like some more versatility in how he's trying to score from that area. If they're going to continue to use him like this, I don't think it's necessarily the best way to use him. Like I think he's really good down there, but I think what more of the appeal to him is that he can do both. I would like to see him do a little bit more of the step out stuff. But if they're going to just stick him down there, I would like to see a little more versatility in how he's trying to score.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody else we wanted to hit on before we sign off? Okay. I'll do the outro.
Isaiah, or I was going to mention Isaiah Evans really quick. He had a pretty good game here. I'm liking what I'm seeing for him on the defensive end, which is something I don't feel like I got to see a lot of last year. Like he's still like kind of slight of frame, but I think tonight he did a really good job like denying the ball. It was one possession where like Flory Badunga and the ball handler were literally like just like running in circles trying to get the ball to the guy, and Isaiah Evans was just like denying with a lot of intensity. He took a really good charge tonight at like a crucial point in the game. So he's somebody that is still like in the latter half of my lottery that I really like, and I think he had a pretty good performance tonight.
Yeah. He also, and I noticed it a bit in the Texas game too, so this isn't just tonight, but I feel like he's also done a good job of like, I know he's had more opportunities this year than he did last year, but he's done a good job of also just getting downhill too, I feel like. And I'd have to, not to get all nerdy, but I feel like I'd have to go and like look at some of the finishing numbers, but just based off of what I saw, I feel like he did a pretty good job of, maximizing the opportunities that he had. So yeah, Isaiah Evans is somebody who, this game for sure, I feel like was definitely a plus as well. Quickly on the Kansas side, I'll just bring up my guy, but Badunga, he's somebody who coming into the season, I wasn't really sure what to make. And especially after that North Carolina game where I feel like, he's a really gifted athletic player, but I still feel like sometimes when he comes across bigger players, he doesn't fully know like what to do or, how to have the best game. But tonight, I know we talked about Cam Boozer and like, he's not necessarily the tallest guy, but he is still a pretty physical player. He still had 14 points, 1 block. For Badunga, I feel like this was a really good starting point and towards building up some of that draft stock. I think the main thing with him though is like when he is getting doubled and pressured, it's like just knowing what to do with the ball or where to go with it and not freezing up. And I still think he had some of those moments today. But just in terms of the heart he played with, he had a poster on Boozer. He might have had two, now that I think about it. But
1.5. Boozer kind of didn't. Boozer opted out of the first one. He like seen it coming. It was like, yeah, I'm not gonna follow through with the jump. And then the second one, I think he kind of got him a little bit.
yeah, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out to him. And I'll give another quick one to Trey White because he had 22 points. Just kind of did a lot of the little things, hit open shots when he needed to. That's what you like to see.